Welcome to Tech Talks with Kinsoft.
Glad to be here.
So today we're looking at something that, honestly, it feels a bit like a movie script.
It really does, yeah.
Because the very software designed to be, this ultimate digital bodyguard for places like the European Commission and the Dutch government, it just became the exact weapon used to break into them.
Yeah, it's a massive twist.
Right. And our mission for this show is simple. We take a stack of your sources, like articles, technical research, advisory notes, and we extract the most important nuggets of knowledge out of them.
Exactly.
We do the heavy lifting of reading and synthesizing. So you, the listener, get a shortcut to staying well-informed without that dreaded information overload.
And today's sources are painting a very, very tense picture.
Yeah, tense is an understatement.
We're looking at emergency warnings from national security agencies across the U.S., Canada, Singapore, and the U.K.
Wow, so globally.
Yeah, globally. They are all sounding the alarm over a highly coordinated wave of cyber attacks. And they're targeting a specific piece of software used by major organizations to manage and secure their mobile devices.
Right off the bat, that feels incredibly counterintuitive.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if these systems are specifically built to enforce security on our phones, isn't it incredibly ironic that they are the very things letting the attackers in?
It is, but it really comes down to the immense power these platforms hold.
Right.
The specific software in the crosshairs today is called Ivanti Endpoint Manager Mobile, or EPMM.
Okay, EPM.
Yeah. And to understand the vulnerability, we first need to understand the mechanism of what an MDM, a mobile device management platform, actually does.
Okay, break that down for us.
Basically, organizations use EPMM to control their entire fleet of smartphones and tablets.
So if I'm, say, working for a government agency and I'm using a company-issued phone, EPMM is like the invisible hand controlling what I can and cannot do.
That's a really good way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah.
It dictates your app settings, monitors compliance, and it can even remotely wipe the device if you lose it on a train.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it acts as the central brain enforcing security rules across the whole mobile network.
Right.
But because it has absolute authority over thousands of remote devices, it requires a constant, open line of communication to the outside world.
Which means it has to be exposed.
Exactly.
I mean, it can't hide behind a massive internal firewall if it needs to, talk to an employee's phone while they're sitting in a coffee shop in another country.
Precisely. That is exactly why they are such high-value targets.
Makes sense.
And this brings us to the core issue. There are two specific vulnerabilities discovered in late January, tracked as CVE-2026-1281 and CVE-2026-1340.
Okay, those are the exact designations.
Right. And, cybersecurity scales rank threats from 1 to 10 based on their severity.
Yeah.
These two flaws sit at a 9.8.
A 9.8 out of 10. I know a 9.8 sounds terrifying on paper, but what does that actually mean in practice? Like, why isn't it a 5 or a 6?
Well, a 9.8 essentially means the vulnerability allows for unauthenticated remote code execution.
Okay, let's break those terms down for a second. Unauthenticated means?
It means the attacker doesn't need to steal a username.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't need to guess a password, and they don't need to intercept a two-factor authentication code.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. They need absolutely zero credentials to interact with the system.
I admit, I hear terms like code injection and remote code execution thrown around a lot.
Sure.
But how does someone actually force a secure server to run their malicious commands without even logging in first?
So the mechanism is actually a flaw in how the software processes input.
Okay.
Normally, a system expects specific data in specific fields, like entering your name into a form.
Right.
But with a code injection vulnerability, the software fails to sanitize or separate the data from the underlying system commands.
Oh, I see.
So an attacker sends a carefully crafted message to the server, and instead of reading it as data, the server's backend gets confused.
It thinks it's an instruction.
Exactly. It reads it as an administrative command. It just blindly executes whatever the attacker typed.
Okay, let me see if I can picture this physically.
Go for it.
So an edge device like EPMM is essentially the bouncer at the club's front door, right?
Yeah.
But with a 9.8 vulnerability, the bouncer isn't just letting people in without ID. The bouncer is actively handing out master keys to the whole building.
That's a great analogy. It's actually a bit like a secure corporate building that has an automated pneumatic tube system on the outside wall for employees to drop off work orders.
Oh, right, because it's internet facing.
Exactly. That pneumatic tube has to be accessible from the street, so anyone walking by can drop something in.
Right. And the flaw is that the automated sorting room inside the building doesn't check who sent the capsule.
Yes, exactly. An attacker just drops in a forged work order that says, fire the security guards and send the vault combination to this external address.
And the internal system just processes it automatically?
It processes it with the highest level of authority. That is the reality of unauthenticated remote code execution.
That is just wild.
It is. And, the UK NHS Digital's National Cybersecurity Operations Center, the CSOC, they emphasize this in their advisory.
What did they say?
They pointed out that edge devices like EPMM are internet-facing by design. Attackers know this.
Right. They know it's sitting right there on the perimeter.
Yeah, which is why vulnerabilities here are rapidly weaponized as 0 days. The target is just sitting out there in the open.
Right. So since we know the front door was left wide open, who exactly sneaked inside before the vendor could get a patch out in late January?
Well, the confirmed victims include some very high-profile government entities.
Like who?
We have verified breaches within the Dutch government, specifically, and somewhat ironically, the Dutch Data Protection Authority.
Wait, the Data Protection Authority itself?
Yes, the AP and also the Judicial Council.
You really can't write that kind of irony. The data protectors got their data stolen.
Pretty much.
But I want to dig into what was actually stolen here. According to the country's State Secretary for Justice and Security, attackers viewed work-related data of the employees.
Right.
We are talking about names, business email addresses, and phone numbers.
Yeah, that's the extent of the compromised data that was publicly confirmed.
For you listening right now, it might be incredibly easy to shrug that off.
Oh, for sure.
You hear government data breach, and you immediately expect, stolen state secrets or classified documents. Names and phone numbers sound like they just walked off with a corporate phone book.
Yeah, it doesn't sound that scary.
Right. Why is a stolen phone book treated as a national security incident?
So, taking a step back to look at modern attack chains changes the perspective completely here.
Okay.
A corporate phone book belonging to a government's data protection authority is an absolute goldmine.
A goldmine for what?
It provides the exact blueprint a threat actor needs for highly targeted spear phishing campaigns.
Oh, I see. So it's not the end goal, it's the reconnaissance phase.
Exactly. It's the crucial first step.
Right.
Imagine an attacker wants to compromise a senior judge.
Right.
If they send a generic malicious email, it gets flagged by spam filters or just ignored.
Sure.
But now, because they have the EPMM data, they know exactly who works in which department, what their email is, and what their mobile number is.
So they can make it super convincing.
Incredibly convincing. They can text an employee saying, this is Dave from IT. Your EPMM mobile profile is failing to sync. Click this link to re-authenticate.
Wow. And because the employee knows they actually use EPMM and the text is coming to their specific work device, they are infinitely more likely to click it.
Yep.
It weaponizes their own organizational context against them.
Exactly. The psychological manipulation becomes much more effective. And that's why the theft of basic directory information is treated with emergency severity.
That makes a lot of sense. The Dutch government wasn't the only major European entity caught in this wave, though.
No, they weren't.
The European Commission was also targeted.
Yes. On January 30, 2026, CERT-EU, that's the cybersecurity team for all EU institutions, they detected an intrusion on the European Commission's central infrastructure.
Specifically, the infrastructure managing their mobile devices.
Right. Now, they didn't explicitly name Ivanti EPMM in their initial public statement.
Oh, they didn't?
No. But reading through the industry consensus, it's widely understood that they were dealing with the exact same platform. The timing and the nature of the compromise were identical.
Right. The mechanics of the attack were the same. And the Commission acknowledged that the intrusion may have resulted in access to staff names and mobile numbers, just like the Dutch breach.
Exactly.
But I want to pause here, because the timeline of the European Commission story is completely wild compared to a typical government data breach.
It really is. The timeline is arguably the most crucial takeaway from this entire campaign. CERT-EU detected the intrusion, and the Commission's security teams moved with staggering speed. They ensured the incident was contained, the vulnerability was isolated, and the entire system was completely cleaned within exactly 9 hours.
9 hours.
9 hours.
I want to highlight this for you, the listener, because context is everything here. When we usually read reports about major network intrusions, the dwell time, which is the amount of time an attacker sits inside a network before being discovered, is typically measured in weeks, right?
Weeks, if not months.
Yeah.
The global median dwell time often hovers around 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And for sophisticated state-sponsored actors, they can remain undetected for hundreds of days.
Wow.
So detecting, containing, and cleaning an intrusion on a massive governmental infrastructure in 9 hours is exceptional.
And because of that incredible speed, no actual mobile devices were compromised.
Right.
The attackers broke into the central management server. They might have scraped that contact list we talked about. But they were kicked out before they could pivot and push any malicious commands down to the actual smartphones.
The containment prevented the worst-case scenario. If the attackers had more time, they could have used the server's authority to silently install spyware on every single government-issued phone.
Which is terrifying.
Truly.
And it really shifts how we have to think about cybersecurity. You know, in a world where 0 days are inevitable, where your time to containment is the difference between a leaked phone book and a total network takeover.
Absolutely. Fast detection and rapid containment are what saved the EC from an unrecoverable compromise.
But let's look at the practical reality for everyone else. 9 hours is incredibly fast for the European Commission, but what about the organizations that didn't catch it on day one?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Can they just install the late January patch from Ivanti, run the newly released detection script, and sleep soundly?
The short answer is a resounding no.
Really? Just patching isn't enough?
No. The Dutch National Cybersecurity Center, the NCSC-NL, issued very stark advice regarding this. They explicitly warned organizations that even if you patched quickly, you must assume compromise.
Assume compromise. Let's unpack that. Does that mean even if I patched my system the minute the update came out, I have to operate under the assumption that someone already broke in?
Yes. You have to operate under that assumption because threat actors may have already exploited the system and wiped their tracks.
They whip their tracks.
Oh, absolutely. They delete the access logs. They remove the initial malware they used to break in. They know you were going to run a detection script eventually.
Right. So if an IT admin runs a detection tool and it comes back clean, that doesn't actually mean the system was never hacked.
It just means the threat actor might be exceptionally good at digital housekeeping. The absence of evidence is not evidence of absence.
That is a chilling thought. So if patching just fixes the broken lock, but the attacker is already inside the house, what are the actionable steps? The NCSCNL laid out strict advice, right?
They did. First, you are required to change all passwords for every single account present on that system.
Okay, change all passwords.
Because if the attackers were inside, you have to assume they scraped the entire credential database.
That makes sense.
The second step is even more critical and often overlooked. You must renew the private keys in use on the system.
Wait, private keys, how do they factor into this?
Private keys are cryptographic files used to authenticate secure communications,
Right.
like between the server and the mobile devices.
Okay.
If an attacker steals those private keys, they can essentially forge a legitimate connection. They can impersonate the server itself.
So even if I change the human passwords and patch the flaw, if I don't renew those cryptographic keys, the attacker just walks right back in disguised as the server.
Exactly. You have to burn the old cryptographic locks and install completely new ones.
Wow.
And finally, they heavily advise monitoring internal traffic originating from that EPMM system, looking for signs of lateral movement.
Right, lateral movement. That's when the attacker uses the compromised server as a lily pad to jump deeper into the network.
Exactly. And to prove this isn't just a one-off anomaly, this product family is a continuous high-value target.
Yeah, I want to remind the listener about the historical context here. We saw very similar flaws in EPMM hacked 12 Norwegian agencies back in 2023.
Yep, and it didn't stop there. In May 2025, CERT-EU reported 2 other Ivanti EPMM 0 days exploited in the wild,
Right.
which were later tied to a suspected China Nexus threat actor targeting multiple global sectors.
Healthcare, finance, defense, it was a huge deal.
A massive deal.
So synthesizing all these takeaways for you, the listener, we really see the danger of internet-facing edge devices.
Absolutely.
And when dealing with CVSS 9.80 days, patching is merely the baseline. The true defense lies in rapid detection like the EC's 9-hour containment and adopting an assume compromise posture.
That is the new reality.
Now, if you're looking to fortify your own network and want to discuss your security and IT needs, make sure to visit www.kinsoft.com.au.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final lingering question to ponder.
Okay, let's hear it.
As organizations push more and more security enforcement to the edge of their networks to protect remote workers and mobile devices, are we actually just moving our most valuable, vulnerable targets outside the safety of the castle walls?
Wow. That is definitely something to think about. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.